Black Myth Wukong, one of the greatest games this year.
That's why he's the GOAT!
Is a game where you, as the Destined One, battle through enemies and bosses to obtain 6 relics to bring Sun Wukong back. Today, I'm going to be beating this game using only transformations. This includes spirits because they allow you to transform into their form for a short while. Guys, please note that I will be using the Destined One's physical attacks, okay? And I will be using only transformations as my spells. Why would I be doing this? Well, in a Discord call while I was talking about this game, my friend said this. Yo man, do you think I could beat Black Myth Wukong?
Bro, hell nah, that game is way too hard for you.
Oh nah, I'm gonna get you for that. In the last episode, I made my way through chapter 1 of the game, but now it's time to continue where we left off in chapter 2. Starting off chapter 2, we start off in the desert with tons of arrows shot into the Destined One's chest. This guy with a guitar also appears and starts rapping for some reason, and then heals us, which starts off the beginning of the chapter. After beating up some low tier enemies, I fought a big electric frog. Even though this boss looked weak and fragile, I somehow lost to it a few times.
You are trash!
Eventually though, I managed to take down this freaky frog. After beating the frog, I went to this wolf guy and told him I beat the frog, and he thanked me by becoming one of the most useful characters in the game so far. Thank you, Mr. Wolfman. He allows me to buy or make medicines, which will make fights much easier. Then we made our way to the rat prince to fight with his 2 rats. This fight felt pretty hard, but easy at the same time, which was weird because he kept comboing me, but I never died, and eventually the rat prince got clapped. After beating the rats, I made my way to the stone vanguard, which is a huge pile of stones that keep slamming the floor and sometimes sends rock minions towards you. This fight took some adaptation to beat, but eventually after some attempts I managed to take him out of commission. After beating the stone vanguard, I fought the rat prince again, and this time he was a giant rat. It still didn't stop me from utterly destroying this huge ugly rat though.
I am better!
Now that boss was easy, but now I'm onto a boss that might not be as easy. Entering the temple of the crouching tiger, I found this menace right here, the tiger vanguard.
Oh no!
This tiger has been known for being quite difficult for a lot of players, so I was petrified before I came into the ring with him, so I knew I had to be careful. My first attempt at this boss went exactly how you thought it would go. Yeah. The issue with this boss is how aggressive the boss is. This guy really uses his cat skills to pounce and pummel you with multiple attacks. He can also turn into stone and dash straight towards you, which is the Black Myth equivalent of a FNAF jumpscare. We haven't even started talking about his sword attacks yet though, where he swings his sword around and deals ungodly amounts of damage. After a lot of time spent on this boss, I eventually locked in and powered through, took him out. Unfortunately, the recording of course had to crash after I beat him, due to a network error, so I lost the recording with the attempt, which is really unfortunate. This wouldn't even be the hardest boss in the chapter though, as we made our way to this menace right here. This guy right here is the Yellow Wind Sage, and a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, complain about this rat right here. This boss has some incredibly annoying combos and phases, and he can literally put you in cutscene combos like Mortal Kombat if you let him. I came into the boss not knowing what to do, and it showed. Eventually though, after a lot of struggle against this rat, I managed to finally beat him. Unfortunately, with my luck, of course the time where I actually win against him, my footage is pretty much stop motion. After I earn this relic from him and finish the chapter off, this allows us to move on to chapter 3. Starting chapter 3, I wandered through the snow realm and encountered this monkey right here, called the Macaque Chief. He awakens some enemies and runs away for some reason. After running after him, we catch up to him and fight him. This boss was surprisingly difficult for me for some reason, but I still managed to take him out. After beating him, I turn into a bat where I find this child with gigantic ears, and he throws out his sack, and guess what comes out? A dragon.
What the hell is even that?
This boss is called Kanjing Long, and it's extremely annoying to beat. This boss uses lightning, its own tail, and can even bite you. After some back and forward struggle on this boss, I eventually pulled through and took this dragon out. After taking it out, I fell into the ice and I encountered the macaque chief again, who stabs us, and we woke up in the pagoda realm. After waking up, we get up and run through the entire pagoda realm. After reaching the temple, I encountered Captain Wise Voice. This boss is some weird deer, I don't even know, that can use lasers and puts on discos and light shows to try to beat you. After some time, I eventually managed to beat him by realizing that you can actually just stay under him and you won't have to deal with most of his laser attacks. After beating him, I took on the macaque chief once again. I had a hard time trying to beat him this time for some reason, but after a few times I took him down. After doing this, I ran over to these huge symbols, where we found someone inside the symbols talking and a woman talking to him. After she realizes we're here, we start fighting. This woman is the dragon we fought earlier, but she's nowhere near as difficult as the dragon fight. Eventually, after a few tries, I managed to take her out and used her to open up the golden symbols, which revealed Zhu Wai Jie inside. This boar will be our sidekick, and we continue the journey with him on our side. After this, we encounter the non-white, who can block attacks and freeze us. After taking him out, he disappears and we find him again and take him on for real this time. A lot of people I've seen find this boss quite easy, but for some reason for me, I had an unnatural amount of difficulty against this guy. After eventually beating him, we move on with the Thunderclap Temple, where I encounter another one of those freaky captain guys. This guy is pretty annoying, but with some patience in his attacks, I took him out, and we made our way to the final boss in the game. This boss is a giant man who proclaims himself Buddha. This boss starts off quite easy and just slowly swings his giant electric mace around, although I did somehow die a few times.
You are trash!
After beating this, I get pulled into a soul-sucking sack where I find Zhu Bai Jie and the chief. With the help of my boyfriend, I take him out and turn into him as I run through Yellowbrow's temple. After running enough, Yellowbrow turns up to try to kill me, and we enter his final phase. He starts off with turning golden after I hit him a bit, which means that I need to break him out by using heavy attacks. Now I'm not gonna lie, this boss is kinda vile, and it took a long time to beat him, especially since he puts you in which from my knowledge are two unavoidable cutscene attacks. Eventually, after some intense struggling and battling, I finally took him down. After this, he starts running, but falls into the lake, in which a giant fish comes out of the lake and gives us the relic that Yellowbrow was holding, ending Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 with only transformations. I appreciate your time watching this video, and the outro will play in 3, 2, 1.